This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. And
9 to noon.
Time for two more?
Good stuff.
Just listen. Just listen. You like that?
This is an old-fashioned ass-kicking right here.
And that's a fact.
Good stuff.
What in the ham fat is going on with you guys?
Viking.
I'm confident that we'll be world champions.
Okay, calm down.
You want to change the conversation, win some games.
You think it's funny? Hey there. Good morning and a happy Wednesday to you. This is 9 to noon, and I'm Paul Allen. Nordo is the producer, and joining us out of the gate, former National Football League MVP and a current radio host, Rich Gannon, kicking off 9 to noon. MVP, good to chat with you, brother. How are things?
I am doing great, my man. Wish things had turned out a little bit differently the other night, but nonetheless, the Vikings are just like a lot of other teams right now. We've got some 0-2 teams, we've got some 2-0 teams, we've got some teams there in the middle, and I think everybody, regardless of the record, is still trying to figure out who they are. I think we come out of preseason, we don't play as many snaps. A lot of teams don't even play the veterans in the preseason. The pad level's high, the execution's off, the timing, the anticipation, the communication, everything suffers as a result, and sometimes it takes a couple of weeks to kind of find your rhythm.
And then you have the injuries, not only here but around the National Football League. And I was chatting with Kevin O'Connell yesterday for part of the radio show we call X's and O's, and we were talking about some injuries and quarterbacks around the league, and there were 64 quarterbacks who played last year, and I think we might be close to 40 already through 2 weeks this year. That's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Vikings are going to face a team that's without their quarterback, and Viking fans may be familiar with the name. You're talking about one of the best in the business in Joe Burrow. He goes out with a foot injury. Looks like he'll be out the better part of 3 months. And so, if you're the Bengals, I mean, you're scrambling, right? You're putting Jake Browning last week, and he found a way to get the team to the finish line. But, if you've studied this kid in the past, I mean, I think he's a serviceable guy. I think he can get streaky. He can be good in stretches, but it's the decision making that concerns you. He threw 3 interceptions last week. He could have thrown more. At times he doesn't see the entire field. At times his anticipation and accuracy comes into question. And they've got a lot of money tied up in that offense, particularly the receiver position with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and not having Joe Burrow is a huge blow to the Bengals.
Rich, what do you remember about our guy for this week and maybe the immediate future, Carson Wentz, when he was playing meaningful games?
I think if you're Carson Wentz, this is an ideal situation. Let me walk you through it. And by the way, as you know, PA, I love our guy, JJ. He's a buddy of mine. I've gotten to know him. We'll get to him in a minute, but let's just talk about the opportunity for Carson Wentz. And it is an opportunity, right? Anytime you get a chance to play in this league, it's an opportunity, it's a privilege, right? And I think if you're Carson Wentz and you look at what took place here a year ago with Sam Darnold, a guy that was in a very similar situation to Carson Wentz, a guy that came to the league with high hopes and expectations and was a high draft pick, and things didn't quite work out, and he kind of stumbled and had some adversity. And and kind of how to find his way. And he found someone in Kevin O'Connell in the Minnesota Vikings that gave him an opportunity, that put their arm around him and gave him some confidence and some belief in himself, and a team that embraced him. And the results were phenomenal. And obviously it helped Sam and his family make a lot of money. So it is what it is. Carson Wentz is an experienced quarterback. He's been in the league 9 years. Now, my concern, he's been on 6 teams in 6 years: Philly, Indianapolis, Washington, the Rams, Kansas City, Minnesota. He's bounced around. But he brings a wealth of experience. 94 career starts, over 22,000 passing yards. Look at his touchdown-interception ratio. It's really good. 153 touchdowns and 67 picks. He's more than capable of coming in, not just this week, but if it's another week, a couple of weeks, and playing really well in this system.
All right, now, and I know you have a lot of respect for Kevin O'Connell. And the voluminous, nuance-laden nature of his play calling and the playbook. So let me ask you this. Darnold had the entire offseason, organized team activities, training camp, minicamp, the whole thing. Carson got here 3 weeks ago. From a quarterback standpoint, specifically with the layers and the nuance of that job where you became MVP one season, how difficult is it?
Well, the good news is that this guy's been around, as we talked about with Carson. He's been exposed to a lot of different systems of football, terminology, verbiage. I think there's some carryover, particularly for a veteran guy. It's a lot easier for him to pick up some of the nuances, as you talked about. The fact that he's been here, for several weeks, and he's got a chance to get the playbook, ask questions, and familiarize himself. Now, he's not, you're right, he's at a disadvantage. He's kind of learning on the fly a little bit, but the benefit that he has, and I say this with the utmost respect, I would have loved to have Kevin O'Connell in my corner when I was a rookie quarterback with the Minnesota Vikings. Would have loved it. The guy that sees the game through the eyes of the quarterback, a guy that understands what it's like to play that position, a guy that is a phenomenal, he doesn't get enough credit for the job he does as a play caller. Forget the head coach for a minute. The job he does as a play caller. And I think having that in your back pocket, if you're Carson Wentz, there's a certain comfort level there. Kevin O'Connell knows what the issues are with the quarterback. He's going to build a game plan around what Carson Wentz knows, what he does well, what he's got a history of, what he likes. And he's going to help him. He's going to help him with the running game. He's going to help him with some play-action game. This is an ideal situation for Carson Wentz. You've got a defense that can keep the scoring down, a defense that can create short fields and turnovers. You've got a team that wants to run the ball. Now, it'll be a little bit more difficult when you lose Aaron Jones, but Jordan Mason and the rest of those guys more than capable. You got plenty of playmakers at wide receiver and tight end. Got to get healthy up front, no question about that. But this is a good situation. I think this is a great situation if you're Carson Wentz.
Rich Gannon, former National Football League MVP and former Minnesota Vikings quarterback, kicks off 9 to noon. It's 9:09. Good morning. Speaking of quarterbacks, Justin Herbert. When did he start consistently sticking the ball downfield and outside the numbers with this he just wants to dagger you mentality?
Honestly, I would say his rookie year. And I did a lot of his games on CBS the first couple of years, and I just knew this guy was going to be a star in this league. He's big, he's strong, he's accurate, he's got good feet, he can run around, make some plays. He's, I don't like to compare quarterbacks, but he's a little different than Josh Allen, but he has some of those qualities. He's a big guy. He's mobile for a guy that has that size at 6'5", 235 pounds. There's not an area on the field that's a weakness for him when you look at his ability to throw the ball. He can puncture a defense. You talk about throwing the ball outside the numbers down the field. I mean, I think it's another situation where Jim Harbaugh comes in last year as a guy that's played the position like Kevin and has coached the position and sees the game through the eyes of the quarterback. And, I think has really put his arms around him and said, hey, listen, you're our guy. And I think I can't tell you how important that is for a quarterback, a young quarterback. I didn't get that experience when I was in Minnesota my first 6 years. Nobody ever put their arm around me and said, listen, you're our guy. You're our team. This is never. It wasn't until I left and went other places, particularly the Raiders, where somebody goes, hey, here's the keys to the car. Okay, here's the contract, and you're our guy. That means a lot. And so, I just think the kid in Los Angeles is a pretty special player.
Now, what about the kid in Chicago, Caleb Williams? What do you think of him in his first 19 games?
There's cause for concern. I think the fact that Ben Johnson's there is going to help him. I think he needs to play from under center a whole lot more. I think the big thing with him is the discipline. It's just not there right now in his game. I think he wanders off the path. I think he has so much confidence in his arm talent and his ability to make plays that he chooses to kind of freelance. This isn't, if you were going to pick a team to go play pickup football or flag football, that may be a guy you want to take early in the draft. Now, if you want to play NFL football and you got a lot of big bodies and people moving around and timing, anticipation, and accuracy, all those things are so important, then you may want to wait a little bit, maybe, because right now he tries to make the impossible play. He loves being Superman. He's even said so himself. He needs to get away from that, and he needs to be a game manager, good decision maker, accurate with the football, trusting his feet, staying in rhythm. And the other thing that's a problem with Caleb Williams, PA, he's a fastball thrower. He only has one pitch. It's heat. He misses so many throws across the middle of the field to tight ends to backs. He knocks them down with the ball. You got to learn to take some pace off of throws. The tight ends have to see the ball come out of your hands on these little crossing routes. And he misses a lot of throws. He makes some of the easy throws look difficult.
MVP's in elite football mind, a few to close here. Green Bay, the Packers are looking so fast and squared away, and LaFleur is on a play-calling roll right now, in my opinion. How real is this with the Packers MVP?
I think it's easy to overlook their defense for the first 2 weeks of the season. I think when we watched what happened against Detroit, we all said, wow, it's Ben Johnson's not there, and Johnny Morton's calling plays right now. Maybe they're not as good offensively. Well, I think we dismissed what we saw from their defense. And then Jaden Daniels goes in there week 2.
Right.
And my first thoughts when I watched the game were Jaden Daniels looks slow. And the more I thought about it, I said to myself, this is early in the season. He's got fresh legs. He's healthy. He doesn't look slow. It's their defense is swarming. And I think, you add a player like Micah Parsons and how that benefits everybody else, Rashawn Gary and the rest of them. And, you look at the secondary, like Nixon and McKinney, they're squatting, they're jumping on plays. So Walker and Gary, the rest of them, they all benefit from the fact that you add Micah Parsons. And the great thing that they're doing, they have a really good defensive coordinator there. And what they're doing is they're not just lining them up on the right side. That's an easy thing for an offense. If he's on the right side, we can handle that. I can get a tight end over there. I can chip with the back. We can slide the line. He's not always over there. He's on the left side. He's at the 3 technique. He's lined up over the guard. And they're moving him all over the place, which makes it a whole lot more difficult in terms of your identification, the communication, the protection scheme. And then on top of that, they got a great play call there in Matt LaFleur, very similar to what we have here in Kevin O'Connell, a guy that is very, very good, and a quarterback that's playing well, has gotten off to a good start, and a really balanced approach, and a tight end position that's it's a lot better than people give him credit for.
Now, our last one or maybe two. Our mutual friend Kevin Stefanski and his Browns, St. Joe's Prep, go crazy. How can this 2-time Coach of the Year get that thing to reverse course?
It's a tough spot. You got a 40-year-old quarterback playing. They're right now offensively, they just don't stack up to some of the better teams. And then they play in a brutal division. You've got a Baltimore defense you got to face twice a year. You've got a Bengals defense. You've got a Steelers defense that hasn't gotten off to the kind of start we've come to expect. But, I think defensively, Jim Schwartz does a great job. They'll be in a lot of games. If Flacco can kind of get back to playing like he did 2 years ago when he played well down the stretch for them, they'll have a chance. Look, everybody knows around this league, nobody's asleep at the wheel. Kevin Stefanski is a very good coach, and he's a very good play caller. But they've got to play better around this quarterback. And if they can't run it, it's going to be a long season for Flacco and the Browns.
Lastly, and thank you, Rich. Thank you very much. Do you think the Rams can roll into Philly and upend the Eagles? A couple of undefeated teams meeting here.
The Rams are a really good team, and they've got a quarterback that's on the injury report this week. I don't know if you saw that about
Stafford?
Sean McVay. No, Sean McVay. He's got a plantar fasciitis. He got hurt on the sidelines last week.
Damn.
But listen, they're a well-coached team. He's another one. We talk about these play callers. He's one of the best in the business. They got a quarterback in Stafford who took the Rams. They almost beat the Eagles last year in that playoff game in Philadelphia. So they're more than capable. A good young back. And a defense that's loaded with a lot of young players. So, I've always liked Kyron Williams. This defense, really talented. And you look at Verse and Turner and Fisk. That's a good group. And the question's going to be, can they match up physically with this group? This is an Eagles team that has one of the better offensive lines and defensive lines in football. It's certainly a strength of their operation.
I appreciate you, my brother.
You're the best, brother.
Have a great day. I'll see you soon. All right.
Thanks, pal. Talk to you soon.
See you. Rich Gannon, MVP, former MVP. In the National Football League, it was with those 2002 Raiders. For Rich Gannon, Raiders team went to the Super Bowl, ran into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coached by John Gruden. The center, Barrett Robbins, went AWOL the night before the game, and I believe he went down to Tijuana. This is a true story. You new schoolers can Google and read it. You get to the Super Bowl, you got the MVP at quarterback. You're going to have a rough and tumble game with Keenan McCardell and Warren Sapp and Mike Allstott and the rest of the John Lynch-led Buccaneers. And day before the game, where's Barrett? What happened? He went AWOL. And hopefully that young man's doing quite well with his life now, because there were some problems about 22, 23 years ago.
Well, when I search his name on the internet, sadly, the first pictures that show up are him as an inmate. Oh. So there may have been some incarceration in the mix at some point over the last 20 years.
Well, it's kind of a strange start to the show right now with strays that are being caught here. I mean, Barrett Robbins just caught one out of nowhere. Might be behind bars. 25 with the Nizzo and nowhere to Gizzo, he knows. And so now, while Rich was talking to us, talking about O'Connell and Sam Darnold, or O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy, and now Carson Wentz, and, this is tough. Memorizing plays and getting the layering and the whole thing's hard. And playing quarterback is probably the single hardest position in all of pro sports. I think goalies might argue with that, but nevertheless, for the sake of the conversation, he's like, when I started in Minnesota, I didn't have anybody to put an arm around me and empower me and tell me that I was going to be a starting quarterback. So immediately, in one of his longer-winded answers, I think the Caleb Williams answer, Rich Gannon stats, Pro Football Reference. Let's start in 87 and see who's catching these strays here. All right. Bob Schnelker, the offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
That name would come up first. Jerry Burns, the head coach. Then you look at other notable assistants. The DB's coach in 87 was Pete Carroll. The linebackers coach was Monty Kiffin. The defensive line coach was Paul Wiggin. So that's it for the coaching roster from an offensive standpoint. So then you go to 88, year 2 for MVP. We got Burns. We got Schnelker. We have pretty much many of the same names from the previous year. And you go to 1989. No, still no change. Well, John Bruner is the running backs coach.
Yeah.
So there was another opportunity for an offensive coach to
put his arm around Rich.
Put the arm around Rich and let him know.
Tell him he's got a chance.
You the man. Damn, look at all this. Look how long Rich played. Damn. Yeah, nice career. All right, that's all courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. That's what's on deck 9 to noon, which includes Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, about 20 minutes from now. Dan Horde, the Vox for the Cincinnati Bengals, joins us shortly after 10. And the Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox, Alan Roach, is on 9 to noon at 11 o'clock, a radio show produced by Mad Producer, and I'm Paul Allen. Good morning. This is 9 to noon. have you been all my life? Holy cow.
I know, I missed you, man.
Well, I mean, it's Parker Fox at Parker Fox 24 via X. Feels like I haven't seen you in like a month or so. Are things well? How's Taylor and how's the family?
Oh, everybody's good, man. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. You know, no. Taylor and I,
absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, that's true. Taylor and I had our engagement pictures yesterday. So we were.
That's why you got that haircut.
That's why I got the haircut. The beard's trimmed.
How do you get your beard to look so nice?
My boy, Funny Ant, coming over and giving me haircuts.
Funny Ant, though.
Yeah,
what's that mean?
It's my barber. Yeah, my guy
Comes to your spot.
Comes to the house.
Wow.
Gives me a little trim, 20 minutes, and I'm good to go.
So what did he use? Like a big serving bowl or like a? I'm playing with you, man. I'm playing with you.
Yeah, this guy's a beast, man. Just one clippers and gets it done in 20 minutes, in and out. So it's money. But no, we took some great pictures yesterday.
Well, at least it wasn't humid.
Oh, goodness gracious, man. I was.
So did you guys sweat during the pictures? Have to stop?
I'm in pants and a polo and a long sleeve, whatever shirt and da-da-da-da. And she's in these dresses and we're just out there in the 87-degree heat and we picked, mid-September because we thought it'd be a nice little cool day.
Families came and everything.
Yeah, St. Anthony, Maine, taking pictures on the river, the whole deal. And we're just sweating our tails off.
Yeah, this is in a roundabout way adding up to one of the longer walk-ups to, well, not really.
Totally.
But it's actually there's some perfection to it because it's like, it's not if I were to say it's not a clomp, okay, don't take the word clomp or clip the wrong way, like over the top. But I mean, there are particular things that need to get done. You got deadlines, you got linens, you got it's got a lot of things.
Flowers.
But it seems like it seems like you guys are handling it beautifully every step of the way.
Yeah, we're trying to. And, we talked about kind of in the early steps about a wedding planner and, that's probably $6,000 to $10,000 to pay somebody to basically do everything for you. And the way kind of Taylor and I operate, we're more hands-on. We want to, be a part of it. We want to kind of know what's going on. So Taylor's like, forget about that. I'll do this kind of stuff. So she's in a little deep, but I think if there's a time to be in deep, it's right now. And she's.
So is she in deep by choice?
Yeah,
because she's just better at it than
she knows
like others?
she knows what's ahead of her, right? She knows the Olympics are in February. She knows the season starts in November. So let's get done as much as you can get done now, and then let's flip the script and focus on the bigger picture and a goal that she's had since she was 7 or 8 years old of making the Olympic team and getting a gold medal. So she knows where her priorities are, and I fully trust that she'll be locked in and when the time comes.
All right, so just to get accurate on the collaboration you and I and Norda will have 9 to noon, and maybe you explaining the change.
Yeah.
You're going to be with us Mondays.
Yes.
Probably around 10:50.
Yes.
PJ Fleck, coach of the Gophers, joins every Monday about 10:45. And PJ happened last year to enjoy when Parker would come into the studio and just sight unseen, I'd throw him into the chat and everything. PJ seemed to like that, so we will do that.
Sweet.
Then you'll join 9 to noon for a marathon at 11.
Yep.
But no more Thursday at 9.
No.
Now it's going to be Wednesday at 9. But why?
Thursday. I think Thursday morning just got a little too busy with the power trip guys.
Bastards.
You got Lieber in there. You got Pellicero calling in. You got the whole deal. So I think giving them their time during the football season is okay. They're better football minds than I am. PA. I'm trying, but I'm no Tom Pellicero here. So I'm going to shift it to Monday. So me and Parrish will be hanging out. Wednesday.
Yeah.
So me and Parrish will be hanging out Wednesdays about 7:30, and then we'll.
Well, your hockey mind is pretty high end.
I'm trying.
No, I'm being serious.
I'm getting better for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you live with a champion.
I do.
Who, okay, so some may prefer men's hockey over women's hockey, and they have their reasons, and we got checking and a certain level of
fights,
physicality.
Dropping the gloves.
Right. Okay, let's put that to the side. But still, plays are plays, nuance is nuance, neutral zone check is neutral zone, the neutral zone trap, and
the whole deal.
Right.
Having something on the TV, i.e. hockey, that I didn't have on growing up. It was basketball and football. And there was a little hockey. We loved Gopher hockey growing up, a little bit of wild. But now even like having games on in her league and just like hearing the commentators talk about, I couldn't have told you what a back check was, 2 years ago. I couldn't tell you what, adding pressure with the forecheck was. And now that's just kind of part of my lingo when I'm talking to, like, I'll hip check her in the what do you call that? The kitchen. I'll give her a little hip check, you know, and just funny stuff like that. Learning more about the hockey lingo and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, puck battle.
Yeah, a little puck battle. Get along the boards.
You have a broom, and she has something in her hand, and you're like in the corner of a room.
Totally.
All right, Tay. Puck battle.
And you know the competitor she is. She doesn't let me stick left. She's giving me the elbows right in the in the ribs. That's
why wouldn't
the spot,
she?
Man,
why wouldn't she? You're not going to swing back.
It's true.
You're not going to elbow back.
Hands off.
All right, now in the final 3 minutes of this segment, unbeknownst to me, the 9 to noon therapeutic Davenport of Love was utilized right out of the gate. Welcome, Rich Gannon, former MVP, former Vikings quarterback in the National Football League, radio host. He's an elite football mind. I ask a question. He talks for 90 seconds about McCarthy's injury, quarterback injuries, the patience required with kids, professional kids, and like raising them. Still got a lot of season left for a lot of teams. So he just jumped right on that therapeutic Davenport of Love. So since it's here, I'm going to spend, I'm going to let you and Nordo, if you are so inclined, and if not, we'll go to break and call Florio. And I'm just going to lay it out like this. They're, with Nordo to a certain extent, less things have changed. There's kind of with the Vikings injuries in the 1-1 start. There's kind of an end of the world as we know it football approach to it.
Totally. Very irritated.
He's irritated. He's hurt. What about you?
It's impacting my family life, the whole thing.
How are you guys handling all of this? Because Gannon required the therapeutic Davenport of Love. We might as well use it while it's out, and good morning.
Totally. No, for me, I think I look at injuries different, pre and post of my own injuries, right? I always, before I really got hurt, I didn't know what kind of adversity really was in sports. I didn't know how much injuries can affect not only, your physical, but also your mental. And then, like right now I look to Christian Darrisaw where they say, he's probably healthy and ready. But people don't realize he tore everything in his knee. He didn't just tear an ACL. So you go from a 6-month deal to more of an 8 to 12-month deal. And the mental warfare that it takes to get over that last hump, that's the hardest part. And anybody that hasn't been through an injury doesn't really know because you haven't been through it. The last step of going out there on a Sunday at noon in front of how many people are in US Bank? 60,000 people?
Let's go with it.
Something like that. And going out there and being able to perform the way you want to perform, the standard that you hold for yourself. And I know I'm talking about Christian, but everybody in general. Like there's going to be bumps and bruises along the way. But when you're actually injured and you can't go out there and perform, it takes such a mental toll on your own personal. So I kind of feel for some of these guys, especially when you talk about JJ and Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, some of these guys that are on IR, Blake Cashman. It sucks as a fan to not have those guys out there. But also at the same time, you got to kind of put your head on their shoulders and think, what are these guys thinking about? Because they want to be out there more than you want them to be out there.
Nordo, are you okay if 45 minutes from now we discuss your ledge? Well, because you're
absolutely
the texting again yesterday. The texting.
Oh, are you kidding me?
It's over.
Right.
It didn't have an it's over.
It's not over.
It was teetering.
All right.
I'd like to chat about that ledge a little bit at 10:20.
The injuries are unbelievable. What you said, and there's not enough time for it now.
That's why we said
I would
10:20.
suggest people go back and actually podcast the Power Trip. Well, I was stuck in the malaise of Highway 100 North. Parker, you kind of went down the road of discussing your own mentality when you tore up. I mean, you've had myriad injuries through your playing career, including both knees.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was really good perspective in terms of what Darrisaw, in addition to what you just heard him say, what Darrisaw might be up against as he tries to get back on the field.
Totally. Yeah, it's so much bigger than the physical side. The mental toll it takes on a player, because you hold this standard for yourself, right? Like Christian wants to go out there and be the best left tackle in football. He wants Bosa's and whoever to come at him, and he wants to make the play because he wants to be that guy. And when you physically can't do it, that really does something to you mentally.
When we convene Monday at 11.
Yes, sir.
They'll be 2-1.
They'll be 2-1. Jake Browning's going down.
We'll see where that conversation goes. Right. Thank you, buddy.
Love you.
Appreciate you. Love you too. Tell Taylor I say hi. Parker Fox at Parker Fox 24. Mike Florio. PFTA. You know we is nurse.
T. P. F. T. H. O. F.
Hey, Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. Thank you very much for the book Big Shield. And I promised to try to read it on the flight to Europe or maybe when I'm there. And good morning.
Good morning. And I wanted to make sure I got it out to you before Wheels Up to Dublin. I was doing the math on Friday because I had like 8, 9 that I was in the process of sending out. It's like, Paul's on my list. Should I send Paul's? I was like, I did he's going to be leaving for Dublin. So I made sure you got it so you can take it and not read it on the flight to Dublin or on the flight back from London or during the week that you are taking residence in
London,
the UK, wherever that may be.
May I open a vein with you momentarily, Mike?
Sure. So with leeches, open a vein. However you want to proceed.
With your book/books and other things, all right? The real reason, I'm 59 years of age, and I still don't use cheaters hardly ever. Now, if I'm a little tired calling races at Canterbury Park and it's 9:30, I got 8-point font with these horses, and it's a little dark in the booth, all right, then I'll magnify that way. But for a short amount of time, I just don't want to give in to the cheaters yet, and honing in on the smaller fonts in books gets difficult. You know what I mean?
Then pay the 99 cents for the ebook, which is available on Amazon for 99 cents for anyone who wants it. It's not just a special Paul Allen Voice of the Vikings discount. Anyone can get it for 99 cents and read it on your phone. I read on my phone now. I like having physical books, but it's so much easier to read on the phone. Mm-hmm. It's bright. You can make the font larger, and you just flip, and you read it that way. I read much more on my phone now than I read actual physical copies of books.
So we're about the same age. So have you gone down the cheaters road?
No. And I remember when I was in law school, when you do a lot of reading and you do a lot of strain, like I was starting to feel like the world was a little blurry, and a friend was sitting next to me in class, and he had his glasses on top of the counter. They've got the big long counter, not individual desks, and you sit all at like this same large table in the elevated lecture hall. And I was like looking through his lenses, and I realized the world on the other side of those lenses seemed a lot crisper and cleaner and clearer than the world that I was seeing. Mm-hmm. So I like held up his glasses and was like, wow,
I know,
damn. And that was 35 years ago. And I get my eyes checked every year. Now, maybe I've just memorized the chart because I go to the same place for a physical every year. But it comes back every year that I'm fine. So I have not had a need for them yet. I don't want to wear contact lenses. I don't want my eyes to get used to seeing things with glasses because, trust me, you've seen me. I'm not vain. Maybe there was a time in my life, when we're young and, we're doing the things that young men do, pursuing, companionship and whatnot. But nowadays, like, I really don't care. But when I wear glasses, I look like Jerry Lewis as the Nutty Professor. So glasses are not an option for me.
All right.
So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to do the LASIK. I don't want the contact lenses.
Right.
I don't want things on my eyes. But glasses are a non-starter because it makes me look even goofier than I already look.
To the lesson at hand.
Hardcore football.
Let me guess. You're all done with the Vikes off the touchdownless loss to the Birds and all the injury turmoil?
That was not a good night. It was depressing. It was flat. They could get nothing going. And, of course, it was playing out in similar fashion to week one. Field goals instead of touchdowns for the Falcons, the Vikings in striking distance. There was that 3-and-out that the Vikings mustered, end of quarter 3. All right, here we go. And it was that first play, strip sack, and it's just done. They could get nothing going. Jordan Mason needs to get the ball early and often, and I assume he will now that Aaron Jones is on IR with the hamstring injury. Cam Akers is back. Cam Akers has had some pop from time to time, but they just need to get the passing game going, and now Carson Wentz, who, I made this point, what's it been, 3 weeks ago, when they decided Sam Howell gone, Brett Rippon gone, Max Brosmer hangs around, signed Carson Wentz, who's got no experience in the offseason program, training camp, or the preseason, and now he's going to be the starter. Let's see. We saw what Kevin O'Connell did with Josh Dobbs a couple of years ago, and Wentz is more physically skilled, more accomplished. He's got 94 career starts. He was an MVP candidate 2017 until he tore up his knee in December against the Rams. But it's just never really clicked for him after that. And I don't know whether it's a skill thing. I don't know whether it's a bad teammate thing. There were plenty of bad teammate vibes in Philly, and there were reports that he's a bad teammate, and he basically acknowledged he needs to do things better. But, he washed out of Philly, 1 year with the Colts. I think Frank Reich wanted to bring him back the next year, but that didn't work. Then he goes to the Commanders. He had 1 year there. That didn't work, and he's been relegated to backup status ever since then. This is really his first chance in multiple years to be the guy, even if it's just for a short-term basis. And the issue has been he's prone to these lapses, and you see it from players from time to time. It's most notable at the quarterback position, but other players do it too, where you try to do more than you're physically able to do, and it leads to ugly mistakes like throwing a left-handed pass from your own end zone that gets intercepted by the other team for a touchdown, which we've seen from Wentz. And if we see it from Wentz now, we're going to see Max Brosmer sooner than later.
And now this is a hypothetical, and I'm not big on hypotheticals, but I want your opinion. What if the Minnesota Vikings win 3 in a row and Wentz is big and is big in the performances, but then McCarthy gets healthy out of the bye? What does one do then, or is that just too hypothetical?
Well, it all depends upon the private assessment of where Wentz is and whether it's sustainable. If this is just a matter of patching it together and trying to find a way to outscore opponents in games that, they seem more difficult now that the starting quarterback isn't there, and after that flat, ugly, forgettable performance against the Falcons. But, yeah, if the coaching staff believes that Wentz is sustainable, and if they believe that J.J. McCarthy is truly healthy, that's going to be a dilemma. Now, I think back to 1998 where Brad Johnson breaks his leg, Randall Cunningham comes in, has a season for the ages, and the Denny Green line late in the season was Brad Johnson will play when he's 100%. He was just never 100% in the eyes of Denny Green. So the 100% rule could come into play, and that's a way to soft bench J.J. McCarthy without really saying, we just feel like he needed more time to sit and learn. But that's going to be a decision that the people who are in the best position to make it will make, because the coaching staff will know. I trust Kevin O'Connell in that regard to know if they pull off a few wins with Wentz, is it something that can be built upon, or is it smoke and mirrors and it's time to go back to J.J. McCarthy? The worst case scenario is things don't go well. McCarthy's put back on the field as soon as he's able to play, and the issues that we saw in 7 of 8 quarters so far continue. And the point that I've made to you privately and that I made publicly at PFT, at some point before the Tuesday after week 9, you have to consider the bring Kirko chains home for the rest of the year strategy as a way to salvage the season.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. And before I ask this next question,
what do you think about that? You didn't react to that. You didn't. What's your thought on the possibility of bringing Kirk home?
Too hypothetical. It's,
okay.
I think he would acquiesce. Does he have a complete no trade there?
Yeah, but no trade's meaningless because nobody's going to trade for him if he doesn't want to be there. And it's going to be a complicated conversation that involves trade compensation for the Falcons, how much the Falcons are going to pay, how much the new team is going to pay. So for a starting quarterback, a no trade clause is largely meaningless because no team is going to say, we want a guy to come in and play quarterback for us who doesn't want to be here.
Oh, my God. Kirko, chill.
That's why I went staccato. I couldn't find that. I was going to go down the road of good thing they acquired Jordan Mason with this Aaron Jones news, and it is a good and Jordan's a fine member of the Covenant. But when the Niners did it, it's because of Isaac Guerrero, the backup, who is getting 0 run in San Francisco. But now that I go back a month and change, seems he got himself banged up a little bit. Then they traded for Brian Robinson. But they were counting on Guerrero. That's why the Vikings basically got Jordan Mason for nothing. So from a timing standpoint, with Jones down for at least 4, good to have Mason here, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that Mason was one of the key reasons they won in week one when they started running him between the tackles. You know, Aaron Jones has a very important role in the offense, but he's not a between the tackles runner. And one of the flaws last year in the overall approach to team building was to not have a guy who can bang between the tackles. And they didn't have an offensive line that could open the holes for a guy who can bang between the tackles. But that's the one thing that I think the Vikings desperately need is a running back who is not the average, somewhat interchangeable, put this guy in and let's see what we can do, put this guy in. At some point they need a guy to be like Adrian Peterson was, to be like Dalvin Cook was, where you can really count on, you know, a bruising player who will wear a defense down, who will get 20 to 25 carries and really soften up the defense for the purposes of unlocking the passing game. It's surprising to see what has gone on for the bulk of the season offensively. And, hey, if J.J. McCarthy was injured and kept playing late in the game, we saw him taping the ankle on the NBC broadcast, and, you know, we find out the next day he's out with the high ankle sprain. Okay, fine, but when he's healthy, there's just a lot that needs to be cleaned up. And it really feels like the air came out of the balloon between Monday night and Sunday night.
Now, in Chicago, one of the last two, Ben's having a rough time in Chicago, isn't he?
Every year, there are guys who have never been head coaches at any level, who have been assistant coaches in the NFL or at the college level, but they finally rise from coordinator to head coach. Some of those guys have the skills necessary to be a successful head coach, and some of them don't. And we don't find out until they get into that job. And, you know, for every Mike Tomlin, there's a Brad Childress. So what's Ben Johnson going to be? And just because he was viewed as the next big thing, the guy who can whip up creative plays and great game plans and trick plays that he can unleash at the right moment to deliver the dagger to a team, when you're operating in the X's and O's lab and someone else is the person who talks to the media, someone else is the person who answers the tough questions about decisions that went sideways, it's a different life. And the thing that really struck me when Ben Johnson blurted out, when someone tried to ask him on Friday of last week about the kickoff deep in the end zone instead of out of bounds or short of the landing zone with 2:02 left. Yeah. Can we just talk about the next game?
Yeah.
Like, is this guy suited to stand up there 3-4 times a week and answer tough questions, or is he not going to be able to deliver in one of the most important skills and abilities of an NFL head coach, communicating in a way with the media that inspires confidence and that handles the tough questions in a proper way to make the fans and the media believe this is the right guy for the job? That's the challenge for Ben Johnson, so much more than developing Caleb Williams and coming up with great game plans and having those trick plays in his back pocket ready to use at the right time. Running a team and being the face and the voice, the primary face and voice of the team, those are things that we never know that a guy can do until he's in that job.
FIBA, Fairness and Ben Johnson Act, it's nobody asks questions forever on a Friday into a Sunday about the last Sunday. It just...
Well, but if the questions are lingering because the topic was never properly addressed, you've got to deal with it in the moment, you got to admit your mistake in the moment, and then you move on. Then you don't have reporters who have unfinished business because they feel like the topic wasn't properly addressed.
Right. I mean, that's fair. And I guess I haven't listened to his responses.
He just needed to come out after the game and say, you know what, I should have kicked out of bounds there. Or the next day, I definitely should have kicked out of bounds there. I've learned from it. Whatever it is, whatever he said Monday night into Tuesday was not sufficiently satisfying for the person who asked the question on Friday. And even so, even if the person who asked the question is wrong, when you blurt out that frustration, man, it's you're checking pass fail on these various tests, and that was a fail for him on Friday.
That's very fair. Lastly, excellent scenario Green Bay has earned through 2 games. The Packers beat 2 playoff teams and now take now they can take chances and really get this thing revving. And just, when I say take chances, it's because they have Negan and Dallas into the bye, and they should beat them both. So Green Bay's put itself in a really wonderful position.
They should be unbeaten going into that Week 8 Sunday night game on NBC and Peacock at Pittsburgh when they get to play Aaron Rodgers, and the Steelers are going to be wearing those god-awful throwbacks from the 1930s. But that could be an undefeated Green Bay team. And that Dallas game next Sunday night, we're going there. We rarely take the whole show on the road for a regular season game. We did it last year, Week 18 for Vikings-Lions. We're going to Dallas for Packers-Cowboys. That's how big of a game that is, and an opportunity for the Packers to kind of rub it in the Cowboys' faces for foolishly giving away Michael Parsons for a couple of first-round picks that we now see, if we didn't know at the time, are destined to be very late in the round.
You think Dan Campbell ran it up on Ben Johnson and the Bears?
No, he didn't treat Ben Johnson and the Bears any differently than they treat any other team. If they have a chance to score 50, they're going to score 50. They're going to do what they have to do, and they needed to rebuild their confidence after getting smacked around by the Packers. And it really was a must-win game, and Campbell said it. I give him credit for that. They needed that game. This was a team that went 15-2. You go 15-2, go back to Denny Green's valley of 0-0, and then you're 0-2. That's a rough start, and the Lions are learning how to be a good team, and they're learning how to deal with the things that come from being a good team. Losing assistant coaches and losing games that people expect you to win and getting pushed around when your fans have come to the conclusion that we're a good team now. The Lions have never dealt with that, so they needed that one badly.
Thank you very much. Have a good week.
See you, Paul.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, PFT Live. Also, you can learn more about that at ProFootballTalk.com and his newest book, Big Shield. It has a mob bent to it, if that genre is something that tickles your fancy. Around the corner, Dan Horde, the play-by-play voice for the Cincinnati Bengals, will give us an adversarial update on the next foe. That would be the Bengals at U.S. Bank Stadium Sunday at noon, right here on KFAN.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Football is back. That means it's tailgate time, and this season the only meat I'm going to grill is Dietz and Watson. I'm loving the Black Angus Dietz dogs. They're flavor-packed, and you can tell they are made with the highest quality ingredients. Sundays just got a whole lot better. Visit DietzandWatson.com/the right way to learn more about the Dietz difference.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video. In for the touchdown. This Thursday, an AFC East rivalry ignites as the Miami Dolphins battle the Buffalo Bills in a heated division showdown.
Boom, right on the money.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party. TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial today. It's the Dolphins and the Bills, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.